If you are starting a business or a personal brand, you are not going to want to miss this episode of Brand by Design, where we dive into creating a category of one brand. The three principles we're going to be talking about today include BG5, which is the business application of the human design system, Gene Keys, and brand archetypes. So, psychology behind branding. And I'm going to bring them together in a never before seen framework that I created to help you get crystal clear on how to create a category of one brand. Because look, I'm not going to lie to you. Every market is saturated right now, every single one. Therefore, you have to ensure that you are standing out if you want to be seen. And it's not just because you know the information about something or you took the certifications, it's no longer enough. In 2024, I had representatives from some of the top certifying bodies, including BG5, reach out to me to ask, what are you doing differently? Because what the feedback we're getting is that consultants aren't able to start their business and their brand. And I said, well, the reality is everyone has a book, everyone has AI, everyone has Google. And branding yourself in saturated markets as just a BG5 consultant is not enough. People have to create a category of one brand. And not only is that going to help you stand out, but when you create a category of one brand and you solve a complex problem that no one else solves, you own the market. Not only do you own the market, but you can price accordingly. Because let's be honest, if you listen to my last episode around a high volume versus high value business model, takes a long time and energy and usually money for a high volume business model, which is smaller payments, smaller prices to start paying off. But with that said, we're going to dive in to give you some context. I am certified as a certified BG5 career and business professional, a certified BG5 and business cycles specialist, as well as a certified profit potential specialist, also with BG5. And that is, again, the BG5 is the business application of the human design system. Now, I want to start with what my philosophy on this is and building a brand. I believe that happy CEOs, which is you, scale faster because happiness itself is a business strategy. For people like us, the reality is we can't continue to scale something if we're unhappy with it. We have to build businesses that are values based, which is essentially saying aligned with who we are and what we're passionate about. We like to feel like we are on purpose and in purpose and doing good in the world. And because of that, I believe happiness itself is a business strategy. And that's why I bring in these models to help you feel alignment and be in alignment in your business so you can actually make money for doing essentially what you love, what you're best at. I created the BLA model. And what this stands for is BG5 strengths, life's work, and brand archetypes to help you create a business that is truly values based. Through this model, you begin to build the foundations of a business that actually feels effortless. I'm not going to say is easy because business is never easy. Please do not become an entrepreneur if you're looking for a hack, a shortcut, or an easy way to make money, because that is not entrepreneurship. However, it feels effortless because you're doing something that actually lights you up and is leveraging your strengths. So again, my philosophy is happy CEOs scale faster. Now, pillar one is BG5 or involves BG5 when we're looking at your strengths. But I'm going to break down what BG5 is first for those that are a little bit newer to it, because a lot of people have heard of human design, which is the spiritual awakening aspect of human design or of the system, of the science of differentiation. However, one of the biggest misconceptions that happens in the online space is people believe that you can just apply human design to business. And people that are selling things are misrepresenting that human design is for business. Human design is not for business. Human design is spiritual awakening. Ra Uru created BG5 as the business application of the human design system. So when we're looking at your body graph, is what this image is called when you look at your human design, essentially. This is a way for us to help you capitalize, not just capitalize, but with razor sharp X-ray vision, see and capitalize on your differences. And it also cuts out a lot of the wondering and questioning, because how often do you go back and forth and you think, what are my strengths? What am I good at? Like, this thing that tends to come easy for me, should I be leveraging that? Is that something I can get paid for? And we ruminate so much, especially as good people that want to do good in the world, value-based entrepreneurs. We ruminate so much over it. So this helps cut out a lot of that. And it says, okay, let's take a snapshot, an x-ray, and we can see and capitalize on your differences. What I call this is your unfair advantage. It's not your whole unfair advantage. It's something that is combining different aspects of your experience in life. If you join Brand by Design 101, I'm relaunching it later this month, later in May. You get the workbook for that. It is my epic, like, world-renowned workbook for figuring out how you stand out. But this is a big piece of it. And that's your unfair advantage. And an unfair advantage means it can't be duplicated. It is who you are. So you can have another life coach, you can have another consultant, you can have another artist or writer, but you stand out for a very specific reason. It's unfair because, well, no one else can be you. Rahu also had said, no one is broken, yet we run around trying to fill up the open spaces and seek what we are not. We all have these mental stories about how we cannot be ourselves. And he says very often, or said when he was alive, that often just understanding how we're wired helps. It's not that it's telling you who you are, it's reminding you of what your strengths are. Very rarely do I get on a human design call or work with clients using BG5 and they go, this is completely out of left field. I had no idea about this. Usually they're laughing along and nodding along, going, oh my goodness, like, yeah, those are my strengths, but I never thought of leveraging that. Or I was always trying to shore up this weakness or fix this weakness, or I never thought I could actually build a business off of that. That's more common than someone being absolutely blindsided when they get on a call with me or we work together with their BG5. Usually it's just that clarity. And that clarity itself often is that confidence boost that people need to just go out and do the damn thing. Positive psychology also agrees. So I am certified in positive psychology, and positive psychology says we are often blind to what we do best. Yet we need to do what we do best to access a flow state, what's called flow. We talk about that in spirituality a lot, right? People always want to be in flow. Well, to be in flow, you need to identify what your strengths are and leverage that in business to get paid for what you're best at. Now, being in a flow state does not mean everything goes perfect, right? A lot of people have this misconception about BG5 or human design that, oh my goodness, if I just figure out my human design, everything's going to be easy. Business is going to be flow. I'm never going to have challenges. I'm going to make millions of dollars a month. It's going to be perfect. Not the case. When we're looking at a flow state, there's also a level of being challenged within it. And, well, business is business, and you're never going to get away from challenges in business. That's just the reality of the situation. Like I said, if you are looking for the easy button, I highly suggest not going into business. Now, when we're looking at leveraging our human design, or our BG5 success codes is what it's called in the business application, your success codes, we're looking at your strengths versus wisdom. And the goal, again, is to profit being you. So the definition in your body graph is anything that's colored in. We're particularly looking at what's called channels. So the line that goes between, it's like a straight line between two of the geometric shapes on your body graph. And the openness is where you gain wisdom through going to school in life. So it's anything that's white on your body graph. How this all interplays is dependent on everything in your body graph. Rahu used to always say, I never want to see something explained in isolation again. He used to always say this to his analyst and then the analyst training, because the whole point is to be able to synthesize the body graph and look at you as a whole, not pieces, right? So it all comes together, and how it comes together for your business and brand is dependent on, well, your experience, your wisdom, your strengths, and other aspects of your body graph. But I had coined this saying in my Brand by Design 101 course. And I have a client here who said, watch the replay from Wednesday, and holy hell, I think the breakthrough I got was worth the price of admission. It is an epic course. Like I said, it's coming out. It's launching again later in May. And the phrase I coined is, your definition is why people follow you, why they choose you. Why do they even want to stop the scroll? Why do they even care? to hear what you have to say. That's your definition. That's quite literally how you differentiate yourself from others. The white, the openness in your body graph is why buy from me? Why do people want to buy from you? Because in BG5, we learn that you sell through your openness. So it's why buy from me? That's wisdom. So we sell through our openness and we leverage our definition as a what differentiates me from my competitors. When we combine the two, there is quite literally no one else in your niche that can replicate your strengths and your wisdom. And for leveraging strengths, I have clients that really enjoy as well positive psychology tools like the VIA Strengths Finder and the Gallup Strengths Finder tests. Those can be really fantastic. And it's, you know, the reality is it's usually simply confirming what you see in your body graph, right? You might see logical or strategy up at the top, and you have a body graph that's full of logic and strategy. Or you might have spirituality that's really high, and you have a body graph that's high in the experiential way and spirituality. So it's really interesting to even see the psychological personality tools coincide with BG5 and just amplify it that much more. But this takes so much of the guesswork out because remember what Ra Uru Hu said, we are so used to trying to be what we're not. And it can work for so long, but you're going to burn out trying to be something you're not. And I have a story about that later. So you're going to have to listen. The story is when we get to brand archetypes. Ra Uru Hu says eliminating resistance is key. He says everything about life and everything that makes life suffering is resistance. You see, in teaching human beings how they can recognize who they are, what they're really doing is recognizing how to eliminate resistance. When you eliminate resistance, you get your life, and that's what it is all about, to get your life. But you see, it's resistance that makes us sick, and it's resistance that brings anger out. And this was a quote that he had in his analyst training. And it really is the resistance. And do the mindset work as well. If you aren't doing daily mindset work, I start every single day with people I admire or motivational speeches. I work out to motivational speeches. Do the mindset work every single day because it doesn't matter what you learn about BG5. It doesn't matter how many coaches you hire. It doesn't matter any of that. If you fundamentally do not believe in yourself and you don't see why you are a category of one, none of this matters. And I've had that over the years where people will sit across from me, not so much anymore, and they say, I want to start a brand. And we start to look at, well, how are you a category of one? What's your unfair advantage? And they literally are deers in a headlight and they go, I don't know. I say, why would someone pick you over someone else? I don't know. If you don't know, how do you expect anyone else to? If you don't know why someone should choose you, why should someone spend their time and money with you? Because if you're confused on why someone should choose you, everyone else is confused. And not only do confused people not buy, but confused people are not stopping and following you. And I've seen over the years, a lot of people just share the information. So they might share details about, it's like their content's constantly teaching, right? Almost to be like, see, I know I've taken the certifications. This is who I am. And people might follow you and be inspired by you or steal your content, but they're not purchasing from you because you're not showing what the transformation is. You're not showing what the ROI will be from working with you. You're simply showing like, I know the information. Well, congratulations. But how do you put this together to transform someone's life? How are you different than AI? How are you different than buying books on it, right? And that goes for every niche. Why should someone hire you rather than maybe just learn Gene Keys on their own, as an example? So the BG5 itself, this is something that's really important and I want to underline because one of the things is my biggest pet peeve is when people come to me and they're like, okay, BG5 is going to tell me exactly what to do in business. And it's going to tell me exactly what to sell. And it's going to tell me exactly the business model that I'm supposed to do and all of that. And it is a tool, right? It is a tool. It is not the strategy itself. You need actual business strategy so that you are seen. If you don't know, and this is also what I say to clients when they come to me and they go, you know, I'm taking 5 different certifications right now and I don't have any time to, like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have any time to build a funnel. Drop the extra 5 certifications because as long as you don't understand and you are not effectively marketing yourself and communicating how you are a category of one, You're never going to get your money back from those certifications because no one is ever going to know about you because they're not going to stop and purchase from you. I think one of the biggest heartbreaks I see is endless certifications without actually investing in how do I get seen? How do I make money? Because certifications alone and saying you have a certification genuinely doesn't matter as much as showing people what the transformation is and why you building true trust with them. People that just list all their certifications and the knowledge they have usually have a hard time scaling and growing, especially today. So it is a tool. It allows you to get paid for what you're best at, and it cuts out a lot of the guessing game. It will also help you, leverage in a way your strengths. We'll get into that in a second, looking at my body graph, and confirm, right? More than saying, yes, this is the exact thing you need to do, because everything in business is testing. You got to test things out. It gives you almost that permission slip when you settle into something. You go, this is really what I want to do, or this is really what I want to offer, or how I want to offer it. Whew, you kind of get that deep breath, that sigh of, oh, yeah, no wonder. No shit, Sherlock, as the kids say. Maybe not. Maybe that was me when I was a kid. I'm kind of older, so maybe that saying's not cool anymore. But the idea is like, well, no kidding. Obviously, it's in alignment. Look at it. This is why I've been called in this way. Why am I chasing my tail and circling the drain trying to do X, Y, and Z when it was in front of my face all along? And it really gives you that permission slip to just double down on what you're best at. Now, just to keep in mind, when you are operating incongruent with your design, so the spiritual way of saying that would be out of alignment, most of the time you're simply delivering static. And this is someone that, again, doesn't believe why they're a category of one, doesn't actually trust their genius, is afraid to speak, is afraid to rock the boat, all of these things, depending on where your openness is, where your white is in your body graph, it's going to show up differently, right? Someone's trying to prove themselves rather than really owning the space. You deliver static. And the reality is, if you don't even believe in yourself, someone else isn't. So you deliver that static to them. And they can't even, like, they're not vibrating. If we want to get really like quantum particles, they're not vibrating at the same level as you. And you don't want someone landing on your content and they're like, well, that's good information, but like, you seem really unsure. So unfortunately, this is how most of the world operates, is in the shadow. And at the end of the day, more information isn't necessarily going to fix this. How I leverage it with clients is shine a light on what that pattern is. So, okay, you are constantly making promises that you can't keep with yourself and with others. Okay, well, that's your undefined ego. And what are the strategies we can put in place to stop this pattern? Because you can still make money while you're healing. You can still make money while you're dealing with your mindset. You can still make money while you're learning BG5 and human design. There's no reason to keep putting that shit off, right? You can just decide right now how you show up. And the belief that you can't is the thing that is actually holding you back. The belief that it's harder than that you have to do more healing, that you have to do more mindset work before you can start showing up, is the exact reason you haven't shown up and is the exact reason you will never show up. You have to decide now. Now, another thing that will happen is chaos and confusion come from operating inconsistent or incongruent with your design. So it's someone with, like, say, a defined solar plexus, and they are just all over the map with their emotional wave and they cause chaos everywhere. Or someone with an undefined solar plexus that is absorbing everyone else's emotions, and someone else is having a bad day. Now they're having a bad day, but their day is worse than the person that was originally having a bad day. And now there's just chaos and everyone's having a really bad day. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. This also means that you start seeing and attracting things that are not correct for you, because you're not operating correctly. You're not seeing the world correctly. And this tends to be also when we start seeing and attracting things that aren't correct for you. It might be clients that aren't correct. So if you're operating from a shadow of trying to prove yourself through an undefined ego and not wanting to rock the boat through an undefined solar plexus, but you want to attract those high-level clients that are purchasing your consulting services as an example and see you as an authority. Well, you're probably going to be attracting people that have money issues, a lot of fears. They're not doing the work. They've got to think about it. They've got to save up for the $97 workshop, et cetera, et cetera. And when we're looking at building a business, you need 3 things for your niche. They need to be right, relevant, and resourced. Funny story about that is I had never thought that was an actual framework I had put together, and it was in a mastermind. So my Brand by Design 101 course always comes with a mastermind. So it's a great option for those that want to work with me and get support from me. And one-on-one consulting is just not where they're at yet. The Brand by Design Mastermind is a fantastic option. And I remember I kept repeating right, relevant, resource, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. And typical projector, the guides, there's a projector in the mastermind. She goes, Ashley, that's an incredible framework, the 3R framework. So anyway, that is now a framework that I work on clients with or work with my clients on. And you want to be attracting the right, relevant, resourced clients. So sometimes it's not the offer, it's not the business model itself, it's not necessarily your information or even your brand. Sometimes it's you. And we need to realize, like, are we incongruent? Where are we in the shadow and just creating chaos within the business? This is also going to lead to what you often hear referred to as the not self, or also a signpost. In BG5, we look at it as a signpost that you're off track. For the manifester, it's going to be anger. For the generator and manifesting generator, frustration. For the projector, bitterness. And for the reflector, disappointment. Now, when you're operating congruent with your design, so it's so corny that I almost hate saying it, but when you're aligned with your design, it's way too corny for me, my brand, but there, we got it out. There's an ease, a flow in communication that comes when you are operating in alignment with your design. Now, I'm just going to be honest. You might be like me, and you maybe when things like the thing that comes easy to you, you go, it can't be that easy. And that's been my journey most of the time. When things become really easy, such as consulting, branding, marketing, helping my clients see where the holes are and patch those holes and create a really strong brand that gets them paid for what they're best at. There's times in my life where I'm always like, okay, I need to complicate my life. Like, it should be harder than this. It can't be that easy. And that can be for those of us that are like me. Especially, I think ADHD is probably a piece of that. That can become something that also starts to pull us off track, is that feeling of like it's too easy. But when you're operating congruent with your design, it is easy and it does feel good. It doesn't mean that business is going to blow up tomorrow, but it means that you are doing exactly what you're meant to do. It means that you are on purpose. It's meant to be easy. Now, it's not saying that business itself is easy, right? I always like to underline that over and over because I do think there's been a lot of misunderstanding, especially I'd say 2021, 2022, a lot of misunderstanding that starting an online business is easy. You just show up and you say, hey, this is what I do. And you post some things and people pay you. Doesn't mean business itself is easy, but even in the hard times, you have a resilience and a determination that is hard to shake. With this as well, when you're operating congruent or relying on your design, operating congruent with your design creates a clear, clean signal of communication that can be easily received and understood by others. People naturally are going to see you as the authority. They're naturally going to be messaging you, being like, how do I work with you? How do I buy your products? How do I buy your services? Because you see me in a way that no one else has seen me. And you see my problem in a way no one else has seen my problem. And that's reflected back with the same similar clean clarity, which means you're attracting a niche and clients that you actually want to work with, that get results, that are determined themselves. So you're attracting someone that is truly congruent with their design as well. Now, are you going to be congruent with your design all the time? No, that's not the point. You're going to get better over time of recognizing when you're off path and course correcting. And whereas it might have taken a month or 2 months originally, now it's taking, a week or a day. So it's not about never falling in the shadow. It's not about never having a bad day. It's recognizing and shifting it. And that's what this helps us do as well. So when we are operating congruent with our design, that will lead to peace for the manifester, satisfaction for the generator and manifesting generator, success, that feeling of success for the projector, and delightful surprise for the reflectors. When we're looking at in this framework that I have, like the bare bones, how do I stand out? You can also leverage your spelling mistakes, typos as a way to stand out. If you can't deal with typos, my world is probably not your jam. Typos happen on my slides. Anyway, strengths are your channels. That's the first thing we look at. So these lines you can see on my body graph here, the line, whether they're all black, all red, or black and red, they're going to be going between two of the geometric shapes on your body graph. Now, again, BG5 won't tell you what to do. Nothing will. You've got to pull your big girl panties up, your big boy panties up, and realize no one is coming to save you. It's not about motivation. It's about the discipline to go after your goals. I highly recommend, if you are spinning the drain of looking for motivation or the right time, you need something bigger to focus on. You need a North Star that is bigger than you. For me, that has always been rescue animals. It's always been my work in rescue and starting a farm animal sanctuary and continually being able to help more animals. That has been my North Star. So you need that. You need something that's going to push you, because often, based on human psychology, my original education and career was in psychology. That's why I love bringing psychology into branding. If it's just because I want to be on purpose or I want to help people, that is not going to be enough. And it's definitely not going to be enough to keep you going when you start to get rude comments or pushback from people. You're going to be like, well, fine, whatever. I'm going to do it then. Screw you. It's not worth it. You want something big that you're constantly moving towards. So I recommend something. Don't look for motivation. Don't look for the right time. Don't look for feeling like it or being ready enough or having enough certifications. You want to have a North Star bigger than yourself. That's what you want. And then when we're looking at the human design aspect, again, leveraging your channels is going to be step one, because that is ultimately your strengths. That's what it's called in BG5. The channels are your strengths. So they're not called channels. Now, what we're looking at with this is essentially not doing anything outside your own nature. It isn't about what you do for being on purpose. Purpose simply means being paid for being yourself. Purpose is simply who you be in your work. So focus on that. Focus on who you be. Focus on your inherent strengths. And from that place, you are on purpose, because it's never going to be because you're a teacher for kindergartners or because you're a spiritual healer that you're on purpose. You're leveraging your inherent strengths. You're doing nothing outside your own nature. Stop spinning the drain, searching for the elusive purpose, because that is a whole rabbit hole you will never find fulfillment within. I can promise you that, because I've also been on that, and most clients I work with have been on that rabbit hole. Now, for my chart, I'm going to break it down, and we're going to look at the 4 channels that I have. And then from that the 4 channels. I thought we have an extra one here, but that is gate 23. I pointed out for the throat. We're looking at the 4 channels, and then I'm going to do the gate 23, which is a gate in my throat, which is attached to a channel, the genius to freak. And then I'm going to synthesize it to show you my strengths and how I finally gave myself permission to just do what I wanted to do in business. So number 1, I have the strength of the transmitter, 26 to 44. I'm going to give you the actual BG5 definition for this, because when I work with clients, I also give them the actual BG5 definition. That is, you are the capitalist engaged in the creative art of enterprise. Put simply, this is the channel of the entrepreneur. Taylor Swift has this channel. So we see this channel typically with those that tend to just have an eye for business. Doesn't mean if you don't have this channel, you cannot start a business. It's just someone that's a natural entrepreneur. You have the ability to selectively and persuasively sell something that's perceived as an improvement to a targeted group of people. You have a gift for instinctually, because it's attached to the splenic center. So that's going to be where that instinct word keeps coming in. Instinctually assess others and match them to products, jobs, and even ideologies they need. You often are the one bringing in the money through sales that allows everyone to get paid. So like I said, the channel of the entrepreneur. Now, this is really interesting because you hear often, and I want you to pay attention if you are a generator or manifesting generator, because we hear so often in the online space, generators and manifesting generators are able to work 8 hours a day. In fact, they're the only ones that can work 8 hours a day. If you hear that, run for the hills. If you hear anyone spouting that crap, run for the hills. They don't know what they're talking about. When we're looking at the channel 44 to 26, you are not designed to work 8-hour days in an office. Doesn't matter if you're a projector or a generator. You are not designed to work 8 hours a day in an office. You need a balance of work and rest. You can often accomplish more in a compressed amount of time than people will in an entire day. But you're looking at compressed work rather than what the internet liars are going to tell you that generators and manifesting generators, you are the only ones that can work 8 hours a day. That is someone that doesn't understand the nuance of human design. And that is someone that you don't want to trust with your design. Now, with this as well, for example, how I use the 26 to 44 in my life is I work in chunks throughout the day. So I'll work for about 3 hours in the morning. Well, I'll go for a walk with the dogs, have my breakfast, do whatever I need to do, meditate, etc. Work for about 3 hours, have lunch, do my workout, and then I work for a couple hours in the evening as well. And that has worked best for me. And it's that compressed time. Sit down, do the work, do what I have to do, get up and do other things. So it's that balance between work and rest. And that's worked really well for me. And it's a schedule that fits my flow. Trusting your instincts is critical for 26 to 44. If something doesn't smell right, don't engage, which is funny because I'm always going on about weird smells. I think it drives my husband crazy because I can always pick up weird smells. And it might not just be literal weird smells for this one. If you are, say, someone brings you a contract and you go like, something stinks here. Something just smells off. Something stinks. That's that channel 24 to 66. Trust that because every time you don't, it's going to bite you in the butt because you're going to be off track. When we are looking at the strength of efficiency, this is the genius to freak, the 23 to 44. My voice, my main voice, because you're always looking at the channel first, is 23. This is where inspiration as inner knowing is finally translated into language. You have the ability to assimilate inner knowing into new ways of thinking, which is what I love doing. I come up with new frameworks and ways of clarifying someone's brand, and I'm always just evolving the space and actively working to stay ahead of the market. With this, again, you have this unique voice. It's going to be the genius to freak, and it's I know, and it's communicating individual insights. And this is an individual channel. If you are someone, you can see I have two really strong individual channels. I have the 14 to 2 as well as the 23 to 43. And that is why a lot of people don't like me. Raw or who. So if someone's very collective heavy, we tend not to mesh really well. So if you ever met someone, you're like, I don't know what's up. I just don't get along with this person. There's just something that rubs me the wrong way. Raw or who used to always say that the collective really doesn't like individual insights because the collective likes status quo. That's why it's so hard to change the collective. The collective likes business as usual. So when you have someone come in with these really strong, like, I know this is the right thing. I know this is the direction we're going in. I know this is how we can make money. And you're changing the face of business. I used to always say changing the face of business as we know it, changing the face of leadership as we know it. Those used to be slogans in my brand because that's literally what the 23 is. I know, and then we're going to see in the 14 to 2, the direction we're going in. I know the direction the material plane is going in, 26 to 44. And because I can see with 26 to 44, the capitalist, the creative art of enterprise, I can see where things are shifting. I'm empowering 14 to 2, a new way forward with my individual insights of 23. But if people who are not designed like me are stuck in their old ways, which collective circuitry can get to, or just, some people are just like that, they don't really want to be told that what they're doing is wrong and that there's a different way and that we're moving in a new direction. So it can create some friction. And that's why we have the 23 to 43 as a genius to freak. My entire time in business, my ideas initially have often been seen as not right or freaky, if you will, to go with the language and the verbiage here. I tend to get pushback in regards to this gate in this channel. Now, something that is really important is this is also, there's a quality of deafness, if you will, with the genius to freak. And Raw who had said it's because we have to protect those individual insights. And it can be called stubborn. It can be called bullheaded. I've been called worse. However, you have to protect those individual insights. And one of the biggest things that I've done on my journey is be okay with people not agreeing with me and be okay with people saying you're wrong. 'Cause I know 23, I know I'm right. I know I'm right. And there's that permission slip you give yourself as well when you have your design and this information in front of you, where this gave me that permission slip of stick to your guns, Ashley. Stick to your guns. You've done the work, keep going, keep pushing. And of course, I'm not so bullheaded where I'm close minded. However, there is this level of, I know, I've done the work, I've looked at the numbers, I've seen where things are going. I know. With this as well, for your unique perspective to have value to others, you must wait for the right timing to speak, especially as a 6 line. So my profile is a 4-6. This was a journey because the 6 line tends to see further than everyone else. And I would see so far ahead and know so far ahead that my timing was off. So this was a big piece of it, is knowing when to speak. And it wasn't not speaking. It was essentially looking at, I might see 10 steps ahead, but how can I meet the market where it's at? How can I, coming back to 2644, assess in the now others' needs and match products to them? Because if someone doesn't see themselves needing a certain offer because I'm way too ahead of the market, they're not going to buy it. Doesn't matter how much I say I know. So wait for the right time to speak. I combine that with the 26 to 44 and go, okay, perfect. This is where I see it's going, but I'm too far ahead for what people are seeing right now. So how can I match people with and meet people where they are right now? When invited, your knowing can be recognized for its genius and you can earn the respect of others. I find gate 23, when I really own, and we're talking about my design right now, so that's why I keep saying, me, making me the center of attention, but we're quite literally looking at my design. When I own that, I know, things fall in place so easily for me, so easily. But when I'm shaky on the I know, or I'm not willing to back myself up, to back up the things I've corrected, the 58 to 18, the patterns I've corrected, the judgments I've made, and where I see we're going, and then actually bring those insights forward to empower everyone, 14 to 2. If I'm shaky on that or I don't own it, it lands like a lead balloon because I'm shaky on it. And that voice is meant to be, I know this is right. I know what I see is correct. And within that, another piece of my business that I've had to really become okay with is the realization and the understanding that I'm not for everyone. I'm not meant to have these massive products with thousands and thousands of people in them. I'm meant for consulting, high value, freedom-based offers and business models. Because at the end of the day, most people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the I know voice, and it kind of triggers them as well. I am meant to work with, and that's something again, how BG5 just gives you that permission slip. I've had to become okay with, I'm not meant for everyone. That's okay. So how can I provide services and match services and offers with the right people? And that's been more through high value, freedom-based business models, which is the podcast episode before this one. Now, when we look at the whole channel, the 23 to 43, we're looking at the potential for spontaneous breakthrough, which can be assimilated and expressed as unique insight to make things more efficient. That is quite literally what I do in business for people and myself, but for people too, is I judge the patterns, the 58 to 18. So I judge what's going on in the market, 58 to 18 combined with 44 to 26. I judge the patterns in the collective. This 58 to 18 is the collective channel. It's a collective. 44 to 26 is tribal. So I judge the patterns that are going on. I see where things are going, and I express unique insights to make things more efficient. And that's why I'm always using that defined ajna, which is frameworks and concepts, like a very specific way of seeing and looking at things, to create frameworks. It makes things easier. Why try to duct tape together 50 things when you can take 3 things to create a brand that is in a category of 1? Why try to duct tape everything? Make it simple. What's the saying? Make it simple, stupid, or stupid, simple? I don't know. Your mind is here to embrace not only your knowing, but to explore what is unknown. That is definitely, like, I get that curiosity to fix the patterns with 58 to 18. I'm like, I am nosy. I want to know where the markets are going. I want to know where AI is going so my clients can be ahead of the curve. I'm just nosy. I mean, you could also call it curiosity to explore the unknown. I call it being nosy sometimes. Your insights at times feel like they are light years ahead with a 23 to 43, especially as a 6 line for myself. My profile again, 4-6. Again, it's my job through the 26 to 44 to anchor it into the now. Too many people are too far ahead of the market and they have great offers, but you're not meeting people where they are now. You're light years ahead, and therefore people aren't buying because you're not solving a person's pain now. Your challenge is to simply let go of control and allow your mind to process its knowing on its own way and time. That has been a process, especially with ADHD. Oh my goodness. Just trusting that the insight is going to break through when it's going to break through. Jeez. All you can do is develop a proficiency for explaining what you know simply and clearly. That has also been something that's really important for me. And what is usually reflected back by clients is I clarify or explain things that are very complex in very simple terms. But that's also why I create frameworks and why I gave myself permission to create frameworks. Again, that's what BG5 does. It gives you that permission slip. So when I originally got into the online space, I'd been building brick and mortar brands genuinely until 6 years ago. I didn't even know building brands on I'm old was online was a thing. I was building brick and mortar brands, helping people build brick and mortar personal training, health and fitness brands. When I really owned this and owned my BG5, my human design, and stepped into this space, I was pretty much a freak. That genius to freak was coming through, talking about frameworks, talking about concepts, talking about a new method I came up with that was like A, B, and C. Because I came online and into this space when that was not what you did, that it was uncool. That was bro marketing. That was bro science. We don't need the bros to tell us what to do. We just need flow. And that was the energy I came into in the online space. So in the beginning, I made myself so wrong for my insights. I made myself so wrong for simplifying things and making things more efficient through my frameworks. And the more I learned about or BG5 and became more certified, this is all going to be at, profit potential level. And that's my certification. I think I've maxed out all my certifications with BG5, I believe. It's profit potential, where I went, well, yeah, there's what Ross says. We are trying to shore up our weaknesses. We're not owning who we are. And that's what I always love to bring to my clients as, okay, well, no one else in your niche is talking about frameworks and concepts because it's not the cool thing. You do it then. And I became the person within spiritual niches and life coaches and artists and healers that spoke to the healer, spoke the language of the spiritual individual, but then also made things easier through frameworks. So it's that both and world. And I find I walk that both and world constantly with clients because I work with a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, heart-led entrepreneurs that want a values-based business. And a values-based business, you can't be all bro science as some of the flow people call it, or bro marketing. It's not all about that, because then you build a machine you're not actually happy with. And then you have this, listen to the episode before this, but all this overhead in a business that you're not actually lit up by. So it's not all about strategy, but if it's too much flow, an analogy I've used a lot with clients is when they say, like, oh, I don't like strategy, I just want flow. And I say, well, how does a river flow? And they say, what do you mean? And I said, well, what differentiates a river from a flood? And they go, river bank, like it's a river. There's banks, like there's guidance to it. It's not just water. Exactly. So even the spiritual entrepreneurs, if you want that flow, that containment of your creativity, that expression of your energy where you're not just burning out and killing everything in your path, you need the riverbanks. And so strategy is the riverbanks. And that riverbanks allows you to be in your creative flow and to be lit up and enjoy what you do, because you're not always stressed about where the next client's coming from. You're not always stressed about where the next payment's coming from, because you have some strategy in your business, strategy that is in alignment with your values. I also have the strength of logical judgment, which is 58 to 18. You may find that you have insatiable drive to judge, challenge, correct, and perfect any pattern. Yes. Much to the happiness of my husband. He always says he dreads when I go, especially if I haven't done the rounds every day where I'm checking everything on the farm. I'm so anal about stuff like that, right? So he says, "Oh my gosh, I dread when you go out there because there's something you're going to judge. There's something you're going to find that needs to be corrected." And he says, "It was working fine. And then you go out, but you have to judge it and you have to correct it." So, yes, yes. I mean, yes, the strength of logical judgment. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And one thing I've also had to learn with the channel 58 to 18 is not to turn it in on myself, to judge myself. And I've had to be very cautious of not turning it on people I love because in the shadow, I can get hypercritical. And that is not an alignment piece. Like I'm very hard on myself. And because I'm hard on myself, I'm hard on others at times. So I have to be very cautious of, all right, Ashley, find something to judge then. You want to go judge something? Go be nosy and see what's going on in the industry. See what the trends are now with AI. See what the trends are now in the market. Like go find something productive to be judgmental of. You'll have to let me know if you're 58 to 18 and that resonates with you. So no channel's too great for your logic, which aims only to prove it has the best answers. So again, this is where, and maybe you might be giggling if you found me more through my pop culture work, where you've thought, oh my gosh, Ash, you get challenged so much for like having these views on things. And now it makes sense because you have the genius to freak and the strength of logical judgment. And I do get challenged a lot because it is very much this, I know because I have the best answer. And I'm willing to change my mind if you have a better answer than me, but some kind of just emotional response is not a better answer than mine. And so I do get judged by that a lot. And I've been called a pretentious bitch. And I've been called worse by the interwebs, especially in pop culture spaces by Swifties. But there's this energy when I learn my design of like, that's okay. It's who you are. Don't be an ass, but it's okay because it's who you are. You provide the share the fuel for the art of mastery and for improvement in the patterns. So again, when I was really looking at how to restructure my business, I would get really burned out from a lot of workshops. I would get burned out from memberships. I would get burned out from courses. And I would look at, well, Ashley, you're here to correct the pattern. You're here to like really look at challenging patterns within a business and provide answers and send them off with the answer. That's it. And I make myself wrong for so long that I should have memberships. I should have long-term coaching. I should, all of these things. When the reality was I just had to give myself permission to own my zone of genius, which is improving the patterns and coming up with genius ideas. Simple, right? But we spin the drain so often. That's why I love BG5. If it just cuts out all the crap. It's like, this is who you are. Now you know who you are. Are you going to own it or are you going to keep coming up with excuses? Choice is yours, free will and all. The desire to correct is expressed when you become dissatisfied or feel the need to challenge something. Oh, there's always something I need to challenge. When your logical evaluation or judgment is uninvited or made personal, the result is often perceived as criticism that no one wants to hear. So we'll just slide right past this one because we already talked about that. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what I talked about, right? When it's uninvited, when it's made personal. That was something when I was a teenager too, where this channel of judgment came out really strong, where if I wanted to be mean, there was like a viciousness through the strength of logical judgment, but it was like a logical personal attack. And it was vicious. And that was something that as I aged and grew up, that was something that I always said, like, I had to fix within myself because I didn't want to use that to judge others, to hurt others. But teenage years, and it wasn't like I was going around being awful to people all the time, but if there was something for example, I was in a really unhealthy relationship in late high school, early university, one relationship. And I wouldn't even doubt if he had this channel too, but we would just trade those like nitpicky personal attacks on each other, right? Very unhealthy on both parts. Great people separate, not together, but we were just like criticize each other. Anyway, that's how that can come out. What brings you real joy is being asked to share your judgment. Yes. Is there something wrong here? Is the best thing you can ask me. Ashley, is there something wrong here? And I'm just like, boop, like a little peacock. So excited, perk up. Yes, of course, I can help you fix that. And that's again why I finally stopped fighting my wiring. It was like, just be a consultant, Ashley, stop this shit. Because people hire you to look at their brand or their marketing, whatever the case may be, in terms of the specific package they've purchased from you. They're like, what's wrong here? And you get to fix it, which makes you the happiest. 58 is the joyous. It's the joyous, like being happy. Just let yourself be happy. And maybe you needed to hear that message. Just let yourself be happy. The strength of direction is 14 to 2. So connecting my sacral to the G center. I have very strong, all that sacral energy is going up into my G center. I'm a triple split. This is providing the energy and resources needed to empower a creative new direction. So when we look at my chart overall, I think you can start to see the threads coming together, right? Creative new directions, genius new ideas. Well, my creative new directions and genius new ideas are in service to the 4426, which is a material plane, business. My judgments, the 58 to 18, are in service to the material plane, which is business. Now, it doesn't mean I have to be an entrepreneur, doesn't mean I have to be a consultant, but this would also be a chart. I mean, hell, when I was at corporate, I moved up the corporate ladder so fast, constantly. It never made sense until you understand the design. So it doesn't mean you necessarily have to be an entrepreneur, but it just gives that aha moment, that light bulb moment of, I just need to leverage my strengths. That's literally all I need to do. With the strength of direction, so 14 to 2, you also might know it as the channel of the beat if you know human design. You can bring innovative and empowering new directions to people, projects, and the planet simply by listening to and trusting your gut. You are able to sustain your own creative efforts or materially provide for and encourage others in their own creative directions. So these are two channels, which are the material plane, business, and genius new ideas for business. So this is something that, again, I've just allowed myself to do in being, I always joke, I'm more like a brand architect than strategist, because I'm coming up with like these creative ways forward that no one else is seeing. And I'm putting all the pieces together and plugging all the energy leaks to get you paid for what you're best at. All individuality, so this is another individual channel, empowers through example. So your first task is to be true to yourself. And oh man, is that ever true? Whenever I'm off track and not being true to myself, if I'm thinking about things that don't matter with the undefined head center or avoiding triggering other people's emotional waves with my open solar plexus, nothing works out. It is just, I am up shit creek without a paddle. And when you trust in life, when you trust that life will make decisions through you, you empower others in a purely mechanical way by giving them a sense of direction just being around you. And that's what a lot of people say when they work with me is like, just being around you, all of a sudden I feel like I have a sense of direction. That is my channel. That is my design. So I'm sure you could start to see as I pulled the threads just from looking at the channels. Now, there's unhealthy distractions and shadows, and that's going to be through your undefined or open centers. Now, these are the names for the centers in BG5. So the undefined head center is inspiration. It's doubt, confusion, and losing focus if it's white on your body graph, which is going to pull you away from using your strengths. Conceptualization is the ajna, being mentally defensive, pretending you are certain. So again, this is if these centers are white on your body graph. The undefined throat is called communication and action in business. You're talking too much to try and attract attention rather than just speaking your truth. The undefined splenic center is your survival instinct, and it's unable to let go or being very inflexible. I know some undefined splenic centers like that. Love you guys still. The G center is called identity and direction. So you'll have that role confusion. Who am I? Where do I go? This is someone that, you know, they're around one coach or one person and they're one person, and then they're around someone else and they're someone else. And they tend to just go with the flow in terms of identities and tend to, from the shadow with an undefined or open identity and direction, pivot a lot in business from places that aren't in alignment, but they call it alignment. Willpower is your ego. And this is overcompensating, feeling worthless, not good enough, an imposter, trying to prove yourself. The undefined or open solar plexus is emotional intelligence in business. And this is all about avoiding confrontation and truth, your truth, the truth. Touchy, nervous, and defensive are some ways it might show up. So again, in my design, what we saw, if I'm avoiding that, I know this is the direction we're moving in. I know this is the pattern that needs to be corrected to move you forward. If I avoid that because I don't want to upset anyone, I'm being touchy and nervous and defensive, well, I'm off track and then I'm creating static. And then the root is drive and stamina under you feel through the not self. So this is again, unhealthy distractions can also be called the not self, the shadow. It's not the correct way of using any of these centers. There is a healthy expression of them. You're under pressure, you're always in a hurry, and you're just like constantly trying to get things off your plate, but you never feel like you make progress. So that clears up the aspect of strengths channels using BG5. Now we're hopping over to life work. Life work is going to show up in both your BG5 as well as Gene Keys. Gene Keys is a expression, if you will. The first sequence is an expression of the incarnation cross in human design. Richard Rudd was a student of Ra Uru Hu when Ra was alive. Richard Rudd, I believe, ran the UK arm of the International Human Design School before channeling Gene Keys, but it's based off the same frequency and same concepts. And actually, I will put a link if you want to learn more about Gene Keys. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can check it out. It's a little bit more of a contemplative approach rather than more of the practical application of BG5. However, a lot of my clients really enjoy contemplating the Gene Keys as they're doing practical application with BG5. When we're looking at my body graph and my life work is 18, gate 18 or trait 18. And this is service. Now, I got to tell you, when I first found this out, I was burned out from a life of service. And I was upset. I was not impressed. I thought the universe was playing a cruel joke on me, to be quite honest, because I was burned out from service. I was burned out from helping people and being in helping professions. And that was the last thing I wanted to hear when I first learned all this. But then when I really sat with it, I thought, oh my gosh, I might be burned out at the time from being in helping professions, but man, is that ever my life's work. So when we're looking at life's work, my work has a personal focus. So I'm here to go on self-exploration, focus on facing my own personal challenges in life, do research and exploring, gain new perspectives. I fulfill my purpose through bonding and connecting with others and co-creating, which, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you best be wanting to create connections with others or you're screwed. And it says, you are part of ongoing process of correcting and perfecting the archetypes of male, female, father, mother, etc., opinions and corrections in service to humanity by working to make what is good better. And so I always thought it was really funny because I'm drawn to brand archetypes. That's actually step 3 we're going to talk about. And perfecting archetypes is literally my life's work. What could my business be any more on path? I genuinely do not think so. And then we look at in service to humanity by working to make what is good better. And for me, I believe good people do great things with more money. I believe more money in the hands of good people that will change the world is exactly what this world needs. And I also believe that, yes, business models that we've come up with in the past are good, but we can make them better for people that are desiring more of a value-based business. We can make it better. And I do that through BG5. Now, when we look at it from my Gene Keys perspective, what I'm here to do, if you have the 18th gift in this position, your life work revolves entirely around integrity. You need a cause to stand for in life. You need to challenge some aspect of the way things are done in the world, and you need to build your life's work around it. No matter what you do in life, to really be joyous and fulfilled, you need to know that somehow you are improving some corner of the world. Again, it's exactly what I do. I feel really lit up by being a consultant and helping improve people's brands and businesses. And not only that, I am truly in a position where I get to correct things. I have a cause to stand for, not just with my animal rescue work, but in business. I believe there's a different way we can do business. Life work, when we look at what it actually means, your life work is ultimately your destiny and what you are here to fulfill in life. So again, it's who you're meant to be. It's not necessarily what you're meant to do. Nowhere in my life's work does it say, actually, you are meant to be a consultant in business and help good people make more money. Like, it doesn't say that. It's the ultimate destiny. Your work in the world is the ultimate expression of you being you and making a living doing what you love. The life work theme directs you towards how you fulfill your purpose in life. And when you know your life work, You have a way to measure if you are on the right track, going in the right direction in your career and life. And your life work should ultimately feel like a finely tailored suit or, shoes that fit really well, that fits you perfectly and feels amazing to wear. When you are not aware of your life work, you have no way of knowing if you're on track or if you are fulfilling your purpose here in this lifetime. And you may constantly doubt yourself, your career, your life, wondering if there's something more. So again, it's not that this is giving you, you're a teacher or you're a consultant or you're an artist. It's allowing you to feel like, oh my gosh, I've been on track over all along because it's simply who I be. Your life work is going to consist of 4 key traits and qualities of your design in BG5. Your conscious core essence, which is your personality sun and 70% of your personality. Your conscious grounding and balance, which is your personality earth. Your unconscious core essence, which is design sun. And your unconscious grounding and balance, which is your design earth. Your core essence represents 70% of who you are, as well as how others will see you. It's yourself, as well as what you do, and represents how you perceive and express yourself in your work and life. And your grounding and balance represents how you ground yourself, your core essence, in the physical, material world. And it's how you create balance and stability in your life. And from a Gene Keys perspective, the aspect of your profile that is relevant to life's work, this is the ideal arena of your external work in the world. This is the role or brand that best suits your creative expression and that allows you the full freedom to be yourself without compromise. And that really is what business is all about, what I believe. The shadow of this gene key describes what tends to occur around you when you lose touch with your true self. At the other end of the spectrum, the city or highest potential of this gene key describes you living at the absolute zenith of your genetic potential. In your pearl sequence, the sphere is known as your brand, as it guides you in how best to express your highest gifts in order that you can achieve true recognition in life. And then part 3 of how you can create a brand of one. And this is the core foundational piece. We want to nail these 3 pieces. Is brand psychology through archetypes. Funny enough, we just saw that my life's work is about archetypes. It's just, always blows my mind. Now, brand archetypes are something that Carl Jung, well, not necessarily brand, but Carl Jung came up with archetypes and archetypal psychology. And this is something that every big brand leverages. I'm going to go through each one with an example for you. We have the Sage, which is BBC, the Explorer, the North Face, the Outlaw, Harley Davidson, the Magician, which is going to be Disney, the Hero, classic is Nike, the Lover, Godiva, the Jester is Old Spice, the Everyman is IKEA. We have the Caregiver, which is UNICEF, the Ruler, which is Boss. The Ruler archetype is also something like Rolex, could be another one there. The Creator, which is Apple, and the Innocent, which is Dove. So we fall into these, and you can place, Rihanna is going to be the Outlaw, Taylor Swift is going to be the Every Woman, Mariah Carey is going to be the Ruler. So you can also place personal brands in these categories as well. But branding that is done really well, you choose a core archetype and you run with it and you stick to it. Now, where I see a lot of people that are really confused about who they are or really haven't anchored into their true identity, they're like, I'm all of them. Well, yeah, we all have all of them within them. If your brand is the Outlaw, you're not the Outlaw with your children, or if you're helping a sick, injured animal, right? We have all of them within us. It's choosing. Sometimes it's like choosing genuinely because this is how I am within this realm of my life. I am the Outlaw, and how I dress fits it, how I present it myself, how I speak, etc. Everything just fits the Outlaw, so it was perfect. I believe someone like Taylor Swift genuinely picked the Every Woman, not because she is the Every Woman necessarily, but because it actually filled a gap in her niche at the time that she was really starting to rise. And it was a genius branding decision, ultimately. Now, the psychology of brand archetypes, number 1, it gives you instant clarity, internal alignment. Most entrepreneurs are drowning in overthinking. I don't know if that's you. A brand archetype acts like that North Star. It simplifies decision-making, messaging, tone, and energy. Everything comes back to, does this fit an Outlaw brand? No? Don't add it. Even your clothing becomes easier. Does this fit an outlaw brand? No, don't add it. You wake up knowing exactly how your brand shows up in the world and ultimately how you show up in the world. Your results are going to be from less burnout, more consistency, and faster execution. Again, you have that North Star. And you can't confuse the market if you're no longer confusing yourself. Because if you're confused, like we spoke about, the market's confused. But if you know who you are, the market knows who you are. And I'll never forget this internal instant clarity for me. When I first came into the human design BG5 space, it was really full of magicians primarily and lover brand archetypes. And at first, I was trying to fit myself into that box. I thought if I am going to be in, helping spiritual entrepreneurs and talking about spiritual concepts, I better be one of those brand archetypes. I can't be the outlaw. And what happened was I just blended in with everyone else because I was trying to be like everyone else in my niche. And when it really dawned on me that that was happening, I just owned my outlaw brand archetype. I spoke how I speak now. I showed up how I speak now. I really owned that I know voice within BG5. I started to match my colors, my brand colors, my even choker, the barbed wire choker, how I dress, everything fell in line with the outlaw. What happened? I had people saying, I stopped on your reel or your content simply because I was like, oh my gosh, I love her necklace, or this stood out, or that stood out, how you talk. You're different than everyone else in your niche. And so I finally started to build a category of one. And it wasn't just based on my knowledge, which is a huge part of it, or how I see the world, which is a huge part of it, but also aesthetically, my brand. People saw themselves within me. I attracted other black sheep and rebels and those that really didn't feel like they fit in anywhere. There's a deeper audience connection, so external alignment when you leverage the psychology of brand archetypes. Humans connect through universal patterns. Archetypes trigger subconscious trust and recognition because they tap into hardwired psychological story frameworks. When people instantly get your brand energy, they buy faster and stay longer. And when they see themselves, this is where Taylor Swift has almost weaponized the Swifties, because when they see themselves in you as well, there's that deep connection, comes a loyal customer base. In iPhone, Apple, there we go. Apple is another great one. People will wait like 24 hours for the new iPhone. So ridiculous. But there's that brand loyalty. They've also built it so you can never escape the ecosystem, but whatever. There is that brand loyalty to the company. I actually had brand loyalty to the company happenstance, finding an old recording of Steve Jobs talking about his Think Different campaign and why he came up with it. And I saw the Think Different campaign. I was like, oh, speaking of the rebels and the outlaws, those that think different, I think different. And if I think different, I don't want to be using products that help people that think different. It was such a genius ad, his Think Different campaign, and how he spoke about it. And that was that instant connection with the audience, which was me. And then I went out and bought an iPhone. And then, of course, you need the Mac and you need everything else. And ever since then, I've been in the ecosystem of Apple. But that's why I connected with the brand archetype instantly. Now, there's some back and forth, whether it's Apple's the outlaw or the creator. They're within the same brand family, archetype family, both of them. So usually creator brands will be drawn to outlaws and vice versa. But there was just, I felt seen. And that is the whole point of building a brand, is to feel seen, make people feel seen. And you can make people feel seen by being like them, speaking like them, showing up like them, understanding them. And then this also, the psychology of brand archetypes gives you the category of one, confidence, which is your identity embodiment. This is the biggest, one of the biggest, I would say, psychological blocks most founders have, or most entrepreneurs have, is feeling like an imposter. A clear archetype eliminates that. You don't act like a brand. You step into the brand. You are the brand. Not all of you is meant for business. So you get to choose what aspects of you go into your business, fit your archetype, fit your strengths, and you're quite literally stepping into the brand. You fully embody the energy of the archetype within your brand. You embody the brand archetype. You embody the brand identity. And then you just feel on. You're doing a video, you're doing a training, you're on because you're fully embodying it. You are the brand. The result here is going to be bolder marketing, easy price decisions, less comparison trap energy, and you don't chase validation anymore. You become the blueprint others copy. What's that saying? Often duplicated, never replicated. Yeah, that's how you do it. Now, that's what I have for you guys today. That was a lot of information I brought to you. And that is going to be a framework that I'm working with it's a framework I've always worked with my private clients on that I've just finally named. But that is a new framework that I'm using within my business and brand. And we do have Brand by Design 101, the course. If you're looking for a course to walk you through how to leverage BG5 and business strategy in your brand, your personal brand, expect to see that in about a week and a half. I can't think of the exact date off my head. Being on the email list is going to be the best place to get access and reminders around it, and even an early bird special on it. But if you were listening today and you thought, okay, I love how you broke down your BG5 and your success codes, I want that. I actually do have a package. It's 3 sessions and each one's an hour and a half, and we go over your 16 success codes. It's career type, personal interaction, decision-making strategy, key indicators, assimilation, environmental style, business skills, team and business attributes, large business role. So that would depend if you're part of an organization, but I always include it regardless. Defined functions, so defined centers, distractions and shadows through the undefined. Your public role, which for those that know human design will be your profile. Your life work, which is going to be what we discussed today. Your general thematics, strengths and contributions, which are going to be your gifts that you bring to the world and therefore business, as well as your traits and qualities. What is the unique expression of those gifts? It's an incredible, it's 3 hour and a half long sessions. It does not include coaching. It's just strictly, this is what it is. So it's not a coaching package. It's a consulting package for BG5. And it does not include strategy, business strategy. If you're looking for business strategy, that's going to be consulting based in terms of brand building and marketing. But if you're like, you know what, the first place I want to start is actually getting razor sharp clear on my BG5 success code so that I can rattle off my design just like you did. And I can feel the assurity that you have and the decisiveness and the confidence you have about who you are and what you offer the world. If you want that too, this is a great place to start. I don't always offer these. So it's a limited time that I'm going to have these. And I'm asking you to email support@ashleybriannaeve.com to discuss suitability, to see if this actually is something that would meet you where you are and be useful for you. Because I believe in only offering things that are useful to you and where you are. They're going to move the needle forward. So you can email me at support@ashleybriannaeve.com and we can discuss the 3-session success codes package. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please share this episode, take a screenshot, tag me over on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.